Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going on a Ferris wheel. Well, not literally, but we're going to do a layout for the pictures from the Ferris wheel in Disney's Pixar Pier in Disney California Adventure. And it's going to be fun. I hope you'll join me. Let's check out my workspace. Alright, so this is my workspace for today, and you'll recognize this page as the right hand side of the layout we did last time from the decorative coaster, and that was fun. I didn't go on it, but my husband and my kids went, and they really had a good time. Today we're going to stay in Pixar Pier and do a project recipe for Magic Awaits. Magic Awaits is a collection that came out in 2020, and it again was not designed for any particular theme park, but it has a lot of the black and yellow and gold and reds that are in a lot of the colors that we find at Pixar Pier and other places like that. So I thought it would probably be a really good collection to use for today. And we're going to experiment just a little bit because you can see that this project recipe uses the same punch that we used in the background of the layout we did last time, but I'm going to actually incorporate a different one, and that's the Fairgrounds punch that came out after this roller coaster punch. A couple years later, this one came out, and this one actually has the Ferris wheel in it, and so that's why I want to use this one instead. Plus it has this cool castle. Anyway, we'll see how we can get that one incorporated in to our design here, and yeah. So we'll work on that. I also have a cool panoramic photo that I put together. This has 1, 2, 3, 4 photos that create this cool panoramic picture. So the sizes of my pictures are going to be a little bit different than what are called for in this layout. So it's going to be a little bit different the way this turns out. It's not going to look exactly like the project recipe. It'll be an adventure for all of us to see how that works. So I'm going to set my photos up there. We'll get to them in a minute. I have some of these pre-punched borders like I used last time. These are just cardstock that I punched using the roller coaster punch. So I'm not sure if we'll use them or not, but I do have them available and hanging out here with me in case. And I have a couple of strips from, I think this was Sparks of Magic actually, that I just had available just in case we needed those as well. These sheets right here are from Magic Awaits though. You'll remember these really cute balloons and clouds on the back of a heart patterned paper, and we've got stripes going a couple of different directions, some diagonal stripes, some stars, a dotted Swiss in black, and then this octagon shape with the, I don't know what you'd call this, but anyway, it's got kind of little flags in it. So I'm not sure we'll use all of those either. This particular project recipe calls for black cardstock and then 2 pieces of paper that are designer. One's a tone-on-tone and one is a designer print. And then it uses 2 sheets of designer paper as the base. I think rather than using, I don't know, I've been on the fence trying to decide whether I wanted to use the designer paper as the base or not. You can see that they have used that. They've used this same paper with these balloons on the left and then kind of a grid paper on the right. as their base sheets. So it would really be something similar to using these two pieces. Not exactly, of course, but something similar. So we could conceivably use those and just go with that, and then create our designs from some black cardstock. Maybe we'll just do that. I think it'll simplify things. Maybe make it a little easier for you too if you're not building right onto a page like I am. So you are going to need your decorative trimmer. If you don't have the wavy or the decorative trimmer, this is a really good investment to make. It's not too expensive. I think it's like $24.50 or something like that. It's not too bad at all, and it makes these cool waves, and it makes them really effortlessly. So hard to beat this trimmer as far as, you know, less stress and bang for buck. So we are going to use that today, and let's see. I think we will just go ahead and get started, and I'm going to go ahead and just use these two sheets that we've got here as our base sheets. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so then I've got, instead of using the black to outline here, I think what maybe I'll do is use a yellow. And if I use like a gold paper to outline, then I can use black around the inner edge. You can see these two right here are double matted, so I can use black around the photo and then use gold to create the additional punched areas. So maybe we'll do that. Let's see here. I'm gonna grab some cardstock. So we're gonna grab some gold. Gold is, gold cardstock where CM is concerned has changed a little bit. Once upon a time we had goldenrod, which is this color. And then we had sunflower, which is this color, so a little bit different. And I think they may be coming out with a different, brighter yellow. Which one is going to match that yellow better? You know what, I think I'm going to use sunflower because I really don't have as much goldenrod left anymore. So I'm going to use this one just because I think it will. Oops. I don't think I need two. I think I just need one. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to grab a black. Just for matting purposes, although we could probably use this piece also for that. Okay, so let me just, I'm going to move my base sheets out of the way so that we just have the papers that we're going to cut on the table. I'm going to move those two sheets over there, and we're going to take a look at this. Okay, so if we went ahead and used this paper in place of black cardstock, which we totally could do because it's a tone on tone, and it's that nice dark color, so our pictures will pop right off of it. We're going to, okay, let me just take a look here. So instead of black cardstock here, I'm going to use gold. And then the tone-on-tone paper they're using is this wave right here. And all right, let's start with the gold. Or the sunflower paper. And I'm going to cut that according to the green guide right here. And so I'm going to need 6.5 by 5 3/4. So I'm going to cut it at 6.5 this direction. 6.5 first. Okay, so there's 6.5. Then I'm going to turn it, and we're going to cut this at 5 3/4. And we're going to cut a second one at 5 3/4. Which only leaves about 1/2 inch. Okay. Then we're going to take our decorative trimmer. Well, okay. I don't fully understand what it's trying to tell us, so let's go ahead and I'm going to set my trimmer over here for a second. We're going to take this and we're going to cut it. I'm just going to trim off the very edge so that I have that wave on the very edge. It's the lazy wave. Now I didn't center that very well, so maybe that's the issue, is they're trying to get us to center it. So we'll flip it over, and this time we'll center it. If you know anything about using this trimmer, you know that it is offset for a reason. And so if you want to center your wave, then you need to move it up 1 and down 1 as far as the grid that's embedded into the trimmer. Up 1 and down 1. Just keep it in the center, and that's the difference. It just shifts it up just a tiny bit from the bottom. All right, I'm not going to worry about it being different. Maybe I should worry about it being different. Let's see. This is the one. Now I'm confused as to which one is centered. The one at the bottom is centered, so it's the top one that we need to try to fix if we can. Let's see if I can fix it at all. Maybe just cut it. Very carefully. Again, I'll just trim off a tiny bit so that is centered. Now we have that hourglass shape that we're looking for. All right, now I'm going to cut this in half. So this is almost 5.5 inches. We're going to cut it at 2 3/4. Let's see. Let me make sure that's going to be cool. So we're about 1/8 of an inch from 5.5. So I'm just going to take a 1/16 more. So 2 3/4 would be half of 5.5. So I'm just going to move it in just 1/16 of an inch, and that should be exactly as exactly even as I can possibly make it. pretty darn close. Okay, awesome. All right, so that is those two. Now let's take a look at our tone-on-tone paper. So we're going to use black and this is going to be 2 4x6 mats according to this. I'm just going to cut the 4 and the 6, or I'm going to cut the 4 inches, and then I'm going to leave that just for now because I'm not sure about where my panoramic one is going to go or how I might need to mat that. So first we're just going to do like that. Let me make sure I have a couple photos that I can cut into squares. So those are not going to be square. That one could be a square. That one probably not. I've got a couple that could be squares. So we're going to cut another one at 4 inches. And if you were going to do square photos, you would cut 2 4x4 mats, and then you would have 2 pieces that are cut into 4x2 that you're going to flip and use the other side. It's not going to work as well for me because I'm using black for this. But if you were using another color, it'll work just perfect. It could work, you know, just fine in using the black, but I would use this side and then write with a silver pen because these turn into your journal boxes that are on the side, and you can't see it because I've moved it out of frame. I'm sorry about that. But these turn into these journal boxes, the 2x4 inch pieces. So I'll go ahead and cut. You know what, I'm going to wait and not cut these just yet, just because I'm not sure where my photos are all going to go just yet. And I have a lot of photos to go on this page, so we may use some peekaboo pockets, but I may not want to cut those, so we're not going to cut those just yet. All right, then we have these that are cut at 2 inches and have that same wave that we did the first time. So we're going to center this wave, or center this paper. Again, 1 cube down and 1 cube up from the shoulder. So 1 cube up from the bottom, 1 cube in from the top, and just barely over that cutting line that's embedded in this trimmer, so that you can put that edge right on the outside. Then just flip it around and do the same thing that you did before. 1 cube up, 1 cube down, and just over the cutting line. I usually, when I'm just putting an edge on a paper, I will take the edge, the very corner of the paper, and put it at the far side of that channel, and that allows me to the assurance of not getting a flat space on my wave as I'm putting it on there. You can see that I'm just barely, on the thin spots, I'm just barely catching that paper, but that's all I really want. I just want just the very minimalistic edge, right? So then we're going to take this and let's measure it, and then we'll divide it in half. So this one measures at 4 inches, which is perfect. And we're going to cut this in half at 2 inches. So I'm going to just make sure, let's use the upper shoulder. Make sure that I'm at 2 inches and straight. And there is our interior wave. All right, so now we have just one more piece of paper. That's the additional designer sheet that we want to cut some mats from. So I'm just going to use this paper with the stripes. I'm not sure if we'll use the stripe side or the star side at this point, but we'll figure it out when we get that far. So 4 by 6 again. So we're going to cut at 4 inches. We're going to turn this and we're going to cut it at 6 inches to make 2 4 by 6 mats. And I think if we need to, we'll put those back together, just depending on how we want these photos laid out. And I may need some more mats. So we'll just, like I said, we're figuring this one out as we go, because my photos definitely don't fall in line with the type of photos that are already in this design. I have way more than what they are using, but that's okay. All right, so we're gonna do some punching in just a minute, but until, whoop, let me set those back up again. We're going to do some punching in just a minute, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and just adhere these onto our borders. So I'm just going to use my adhesive here. I'm going to just put adhesive in about 5 places, about 1/2 inch in each spot, going down the straight edge, and maybe just 3 spots for the other one. And I'm going to put this raised up just a little bit from the edge. I'm looking at the example that they have and finding it really interesting that they have this, looks like a film strip edge out here, which I don't recall that in a sticker or a punch. So I'm not sure how they got that, because it's not shown on the sample. But as you can see, I have allowed about 1/4 inch of that gold to show along the straight edge. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And we probably could have used the polka dot side for this. That might have been cute. Oh well. That's the way it works when I don't think things through. I think that would be cute though. If you're making this, if you use the polka dot side, I think that would be very cute. All right, so we've got that. We are going to need to sorry, I'm still kind of thinking this through. Maybe what I'll do is not use that on this one. Maybe we'll use these 2 cute photos of my family, and they will be mounted on these pages. Okay, so I need to just trim these down just a little. So remember our this mat that is designed to go with these 2 pieces is going to be 6 by 4, which I didn't cut before because I thought it might be using it with the longer photo, but I've decided nope, we're going to use that with these. So I'm going to trim these because these mats are 6x4. I want my photo to be at least 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, so that it will be framed by that mat. See how that works? Okay, so we're going to I have to remind myself to be a little bit careful when I'm cutting or trimming my photos on that long side, or the short side I mean, because I've noticed that they're not coming back from the printer accurately. They're a little short. So I can compensate for that when I'm trimming, which I forgot to do on this one. Okay, so we're going to take our Fairgrounds punch and we're going to punch just one long edge along the top of this, like so. And we're going to do the same thing to this one. All right. And get rid of my punch confetti here. And I'm going to grab my precision cutting scissors, and we're just going to do a little bit of maintenance on this because I don't want this half piece to be there. So I'm just going to follow the roof line of the tent that's right here on the edge and just trim off that little piece, so that it looks cleaner and more finished and we don't see that half of a punch piece. All right, now for fun, we are going to I'm going to take this black punched piece of the roller coaster, and we're going to cut this. Remember, we cut this piece at 6.5 inches. So that means that if I trim this piece at 6.5 inches, I can use it I'll show you how I'm going to use it. I'm getting the cart before the horse because I'm excited to see how this looks. Okay, so we're going to need to punch another one, obviously, because this one is at 6.5 inches. It's not going to be long enough. But we're going to put this behind like so. Okay, so I'm going to grab my repositionable adhesive and I'm going to place it on the back of the yellow. And then I'm going to place the corner here of the castle punched out area. That corner is going to go on not the base, but just above it. So it's going to go right there, right where the shoulder, or the base of the punched area. So let me show you on this one. Can you see where the punch squares begin? That's kind of the foundation. And that's the line that I adhered the corner of this to, right there. Okay? And then that gives you just a little shadow of the roller coaster behind it, which is what I was hoping for. So I'm going to go ahead and mount these photos onto our mats that we made. So I'm just centering the photo best I can on there. Then we're going to center that photo on there, just like that. Okay. I feel like the original used the the roller coaster punch, and it got a little bit closer, but I still like this version. So you have a little bit of journal space right here, right above your photo, and that's why I like it. Okay, so I need to punch another. Sorry, this layout is feeling a little disjointed to me, and I apologize for that. I try to be a little bit more together when we get together for these types of activities. But on the other hand, this kind of gives you a sense of what it's like to create something when you don't have the the whole plan, because you haven't done it before, but you're creating as you go. And sometimes when you create as you go, you have to switch gears in the middle or hesitate and think about things, right? Oh, my paper shifted. Okay, let's see. Hopefully that will be all right. So now that I have this on my edge, you'll notice it's not a chain border, so it doesn't separate. We're going to trim this. Hi, sweetheart.
Am I interrupting?
It's okay. I can edit you out. What's up?
Well, I just wanted to let you know that I'm heading home and I'm all done here.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
And as soon as I'm done, I get home, I'm going to go over and look at the dishwasher, the washing machine, clothes washing machine for the Gundersons.
Okay.
So, you keep doing what you're doing.
All right. I love you too. Bye.
All right, bye.
So we're going to go ahead and place the base of the punched out area on the very edge of my gray cutting strip, and then that will give us a 1/4 inch base on the punch. And I just realized this is the wrong punch. I punched it this is this is the Fairgrounds punch, and I need the roller coaster punch. So bear with me 1 second and we'll do that all again. is over here. Okay, so we're gonna, I'm sorry. All right, so we need one more strip of the roller coaster punch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and punch that here really quickly. And one thing I've learned about this one is these little flags at the top tend to get stuck when you try to slide it. So if I pull it out and then put my paper back in, it seems like it works a little bit better. All right, there we go. So this one, as you can see, is a little bit different from the Fairgrounds punch, like you saw earlier. We're gonna just take this and the bottom edge of what's punched, I'm gonna place on the far right hand side of my cutting strip so that I get 1/4 of an inch of a base below the cut portion. And that's not what I do for every one when I go to trim it off, if it's not a chain border, but oh, I need to trim this to 6.5. How come y'all didn't stop me? But I do, I do try to give about 1/4 of an inch of a border if I'm gonna trim one off of a larger sheet, for the most part. Okay, so here is our 6.5 inch piece to go on the back of this one. And once again, we're going to go ahead and add our adhesive. Not that adhesive, Kim. Wow, it's been a day, guys. Okay. Goodness gracious. So you can take your multi-purpose tool, if you do like I just did, and you can scrape that permanent adhesive off if you catch it right away. You don't want to let it sit long for any reason. The longer you let it sit, the harder it is to remove. So sometimes you still can remove it, but it's really much better if you don't wait too long. All right, so we're gonna come back up here, and remember, we're gonna take that corner right there and we're gonna put that even with the base of the punch, that same area that we placed on the far edge of the cutting mat on the trimmer. And then that will help us line that up. Okay. Awesome. Now let's get this picture taken care of, and then we'll figure out what other pictures we're going to cut down to be squares, because we need to get those matted. Really like this polka dot. I really missed the boat on that. I should have used the polka dot on something. Would have been very cute, I think. All right. So those two are good to go. I have a couple of more photos that are not super great, but they're interesting. This one I really love, but I don't know if I want to cut it into a square. These we probably don't need. So let's see. This one could easily be cut into a square of Heidi and Michael. This one we maybe don't need, actually, because it's not really showing anything fantastic. So we could stick that over there. We could cut this one that shows the view down into, I think that's what we'll do. We'll cut this one that shows the view, and this one of Michael and Heidi, and then this one I will mat separately along with that other. All right. Plan is coming together, at least a little bit better. Okay, so we're gonna just come in here and trim this photo up a little bit to make it 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 so that it will mat perfectly with the 4 by 4 square. Same thing here. And so with this one, I'm going to take a look at what I want to see more of, and that's this area right here. I don't really need to see a ton of sky. So we are going to include the sky for horizon, for reference to the horizon. But we're not going to stress about that. Okay, so we don't need to see all that blue. And we'll just trim that. Okay, so set that over there. And set that over there. Stay. Now we'll go ahead and mount these. Okay, not sure how much of all of this will make it into the final video because I know I'm going to edit some of it, but let me just say that today has been a day and I am making mistakes all over the place. So hopefully I can salvage something that flows for you when I am doing the final video. All right, so now we can use one of these mats to mat. I think that's what we'll do. I'll trim this down just a little bit and we'll use it in one of these mats. So we're going to just make this 3 3/4 by 5 3/4, just roughly there. And then I'm going to save that mat for another layout, and I'm going to use this paper. We're going to make a mat for this photo that I have, and this photo measures 3 3/4 high, which is perfect. So I'm going to cut a 4-inch strip of this. And then we're going to go ahead and adhere this photo to the mat. Because remember, this is the one that I've combined several pictures to create. It looks like 3 from back here, but actually I think it's 4 because there's several overlaps. in the back. And then we will trim it again. So I'm going to leave my trimmer there for a second. And we're going to just go ahead and mount this photo. My edges are not perfectly straight on the ends. That's why I want to go ahead and mount the photo first and then come in and cut or trim my edge. So like that. Okay, so that one is good. This one we need to mount still. All right, and that one is roughly a 2x4, almost 2. So I'm going to just keep that up there as an option for something else. All right, let's grab our base pages as I'm about ready to put my trimmer on top of them. And let's go ahead and adhere the base pages. Okay, so again, starting in the center with the edge of the paper all the way against the jeeping in the middle, I'm gonna put my thumb right down here at the bottom so I can feel where the edge of the paper is. That just helps me line it up so that I have less likely possibilities of the paper being crooked. Okay, so there's that one. This one, do we want it straight up or horizontal? I think I like it straight up and down, especially since we're doing these photos of the Ferris wheel where we're going up high. Our thoughts are going vertical rather than horizontal. So we're gonna just help that along by placing our paper vertical instead of horizontal. All right, so there's my bases. Now, let me grab all of our mounted goodies, and we'll get this put together here. Okay, so I'm just going to set those in the center for right now. This and this are going to go up each side. So let's go ahead and mount those. And these just go right along the edge of the jeeping, flush with the top and the bottom edge of your page. Okay, and you can see, looking at the sample, that they actually put a 12-inch sticker along this edge. So I may look for some 12-inch stickers that I could use in that area. I don't think I have these stars left, but after we decide where the photos are going to go, I will see about those. See what we can do. Maybe we could take one of these strips and cut it or something like that. We'll see what we can do to follow that pattern just a little bit more effectively. I'm going to tuck that under there so you can see it as we go to assemble this together. We've got these two, and because of the nature of the way these photos are taken, I'm gonna put these on the layouts in such a way that they are kind of looking at each other, because we were looking at each other in the on the ride on the Ferris wheel. And this is our panoramic view of the Ferris wheel, and here we've got, actually I may do that the other way. I feel like it kind of tells the story backwards if we are looking at the Ferris wheel and then seeing the view, right? That's the way it ought to be in my brain. All right, and so this picture is not necessary especially, but we never seem to get enough pictures of Heidi in our albums. She's my sort of reclusive one. She's on the spectrum and doesn't always like to have her picture taken, and so whenever I can get a picture of her, and I try to do that because she's not always willing to be a part of photos, so we don't end up with very many of her at functions. You may have someone in your life who's like that too. All right, so I think I like that layout, which is awesome. Now what we're going to do is figure out this border piece that we want to go down the side here. And we also need to figure out whether we want to use this as a journal box off to the side the way they've used it in the layout, or if we want to do something different. We could add, I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna figure that out. Okay, so I have a couple of different things we could use. We could cut these apart and put a stripe down the side of the red with some white, which would carry some of the white from this page into this page a little bit more than the stripe does down here. But the yellow or the gold paper would do the same thing, and we could put that over here as well. So what are we feeling like? We've got a lot of red in this background field here, so maybe the yellow would be appropriate, although I like the movement of the zigzag back and forth. But I like the yellow color. What should we do? No, I think I like the zigzag. I'm partial to red too, so that's part of the reason why I like the red. Let me just double check and see if I have any stickers that we could use. If we have stickers, then that might just be easier, but I don't know if I do, so let's see. These are the stickers that went with this collection, but I don't think I have any more of the 12-inch ones. I think I've used all of them. Yep. But we could use one of these from Sparks of Magic. I love how they all kind of go together. We could use something like that. No, actually, I think I'm gonna just go with cutting that border in half. I think that's probably the best plan from what I'm seeing here in my pack. Although, hang on. Here's a couple more. Nope, these are definitely not the 12-inch ones. So I do have this one though, which is also from The Magic Awaits. So we'll pull that out for embellishing in just a second. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna trim this, and we could actually put a wave in this too. Or we could just make it, let's just make it straight. We'll make it easy on me, and I'm just going to put a little repositionable adhesive on the back of my paper so that when I get it centered, I can go ahead and stick it where it will stay, and I don't have to stress about it moving around. All right, so that's going to be centered. I'm just going to cut it right down the center and put it right up the side. It's got a lot of movement to it, but I think that's going to be good because we did a lot of moving on this. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and add this in, and I'm going to leave a little bit of the black showing on the other side because that will just add even more depth to this pretty simple border by adding that little bit of extra black. You could even make that wider probably if you wanted. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and adhere these down. The red paper that I used here on the right actually is tone on tone enough that I probably could write right on top of it as far as journaling goes, which is where my mind has wandered to. But I think we're going to go ahead and put a journaling box underneath this anyway. So we'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to just sort of line my pages up so I can try to keep the angle of these similar, the height and the angle at a similar, in a similar place. There we go. I think that's probably good. Whenever you're trying to line something up, it's easiest to just put your pages right next to each other, and because that's the way they're going to look in the book, so in your album. So you can go ahead and see them the way they will appear. Right, so we're gonna set these down here, overlapping just a little bit, so they're touching all of those things. Okay, so now let's go ahead and I'm going to cut this black piece. We're going to use that as our journal box. I can just write in using a silver pen. And because I'm not doing two of them on both sides of this, I'm just going to make this a little bit wider. So rather than 2 inches, I'm going to make it 2.5, which will give me just a little bit more room to write. And then we're going to slip this right underneath here. Oh, come on. Okay, there we go. And now we can add some embellishments. You can see on the sample, they've got an embellishment over this area on this side. They've got one here, and they've got one just above the journal box on the left. So since we've kind of flipped that and we've got our journal box over here, we could certainly put an embellishment up this way right here, maybe something down here, and something above it over here. That would work well, I think. Or we could even do here and here and here, something either one of these two places, and then the upper corners I think would probably be good. Okay, so I'm going to use this Thrills and Smiles and Fun signpost because I like signposts. I think they're cool, especially in a theme park. Super fun. Okay, so this is going to go kind of up here adjacent to my journal box. And then let's see. We can do, what should we put with that? Popcorn and a ticket. Do we want something red? No, let's use the castle. That's a fun thing. Okay, and I'm going to grab my foam squares and add a couple of them to this. All right. Now, let's see. Over here, we could use this globe. That's kind of fun, huh? The globe and the clouds. I like the clouds. They're cute. Something kind of like that for up here. That might need a little something extra, but I'm going to overlap it here like so, so that it is, probably should have put a foam square underneath there to keep that lifted up. Let me find my smaller ones. Where are they? Way in the back. Come here. There we go. Okay. Let's see. You know, sometimes these little plastic covers come off so easy and you don't want them to, but as soon as you want them to, then they don't want to come off. Isn't that funny? All right, so I'm just going to stick that underneath there to keep it from sticking to the photo, sticking down on the photo. And I think we may need, I don't know, something else for over there. Should we do woohoo? We'll do woohoo. Like so. Now we need just one more grouping of something, maybe down here somewhere. Will Magic Awaits fit right there? I think it will. You can use the camera. And maybe something on this side. Let's see. How about the sunglasses that are over here? Got sunglasses, which we could put kind of like so. All right, let's pop this up as well. I need another little one for up in this corner. Maybe one for right in here too, just to keep it from sticking. Okay. So I learned something just the other day. I had been reluctant to put my adhesives, and foam squares are considered an adhesive. If you're ever looking on the website to order them, they are considered an adhesive. And I've been kind of reluctant to use my foam squares and actually have them touch photos. I've tried to make it so that the stickers and the foam squares were not sticking directly to a photo, just because I wasn't sure if chemically they would be okay. And I learned the other day that actually the Creative Memories stickers and foam squares and adhesives are fine for attaching or touching your photos. They're not going to degrade them in any way. So I was pleased to find that out and actually hear it from some authority. I had hoped that that was the case, but obviously I had never heard it before. So I think we are going to go with that. I believe we are done. Let me know what you think about that and whether that's a layout that you could do or manage on your own. I think the decorative trimmer definitely adds to the movement of this layout and helps you feel like you're moving up and away, and I love the CM punches and the variety that they give us. But of course, if you don't have the Fairgrounds or the roller coaster punches, never fear. There are plenty of edge punches you can use with this layout, and make it your own and make it very unique. And I'm sure it will turn out fantastic. So anyway, I hope this is one that you can use and that you will get a lot of use out of in your albums. It's a fun one. Thanks so much for joining me, and until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Have a great day.